Honourable Minister, why do we have this clause anymore in our laws? 7C. Members of the High Command as of 26 January 1986, whose names are set out in Schedule 3 to the Act. You know, I don't think it's very good drafting and legislating, to legislate for individuals. It is E. Yeah, it is actually E. This is not good legislation. That we are legislating that Abdul Katuntu is a member of the High Command until he dies. Really? I think we need to, first of all, the NRA has since then metamorphosized into the UPDF. It has moved on. Medals have been given. People have retired. I think the army should move on. For example, in this particular clause, Honourable Minister, assuming one is likely to survive up to 100 years, just imagine that you are having a 100-year-old officer to be a member by law of the High Command. It doesn't make legal sense, really, even common sense. So I think at some point, maybe this I should be talking to the UPDF, not to the minister. At some point, you need to revisit this principle. The officers have served, we've recognized them, they have retired, let them live their own lives. They don't have to be members of the army organ, top army organ by law. No. No, I think we need to revisit this. And I hope at some point you concede and we move on. Honourable Minister, look at page 15, you like Uganda. There are two things I want us to address about parallel or competing jurisdictions. Already there is a penal code provision which provides for some of these offenses unlawful possession of firearms, for example. And now all the firearms you brought them here. What happens to the provisions of the penal code? Or we are repealing the penal code by necessary implication. Are we doing that? Because those provisions are there. And why are they there? It's because there are other weapons. For those of you who are used to weapons, I just see them. There are other weapons which are like for personal safety. For example, the small one, they call it a pistol. Yeah? It is now also listed, that one. But I see so many people carrying them. In any case, since when did the pistol become a monopoly of the UPDF? The word used in the bill is monopoly. But I see so many people carrying them. I see even the police has weapons, doesn't it? The prisons has weapons, doesn't it? The Wildlife Authority has weapons, doesn't it?
Private security.
These private security people have weapons, don't they? Are those weapons which the police has a monopoly of the UPDF? Does the police need permission from the UPDF to hold those weapons? Does prisons need permission from the UPDF to hold those weapons? Because there are two categories of weapons, in my view. I'm sorry, I'm not an expert, but in my thinking. There are these which are meant for purely war purposes. I think Lieutenant General Herrero here will help me. He's the one who knows those things. This one you use to do very bad things to other people. No, that was your one. You know, those you use to attack enemies. For example, you know, like an artillery piece. There's this one with too many guns, too many bullets, or whatever it is. Yeah, or either Honorable Chama Sweat or the other one who said he was a... Okay, let me conclude. I don't want to excite people. There are those weapons, and Honorable Minister, you would get my support for those category of weapons, which we think are purely for UPDF. And no civilian should, under any circumstances, own, or even whether lawfully or even illegally own that weapon. That one you'll have my support. But there are weapons which I think cannot be said to be a monopoly. You can't say monopoly, then you go ahead and you bring almost all weapons and you say they are what? They are monopoly. I think there is a problem there with the law. And we need to address that so that we are so clear. These people who are charged with the responsibility of keeping us safe, and they have been given equipment, we want to protect the equipment. That one they use to keep us safe. But the other equipment which you share, including with the civilians, some of these MPs carry them, by the way. Even other people on the street, they are carrying these small pistols, and so on, they do. So those cannot be your monopoly. And don't bring them as a monopoly. Then the other issue, Honorable Chair, I think just look at these classified materials. There are some which shouldn't be here, like this is shoes. Yeah, please, please. If we had to start looking at shoes, this one looks like an officer's shoe. Really, Honorable Boss, please, 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 stop this. Stop this. Because people are going to start looking. So, by the way, this shoe is gazetted. Come on, it's for officers. Please, don't vulgarize the law, please. Because we are missing out on the serious aspect, and now we have gone to small little things. And you have taken us there. Please, please, I think review that, come back, and then we can move on the same page. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
I have a few issues to bring to the attention of both the Minister and the Land Attorney General. I went through this bill over last evening and this morning, trying to find where to press the new provisions in line with the command of Article 129D. I have tried to establish, with all the voluminous presentations, how then you have the court martial becoming a court. I can't find it, save for the words here enshrined. I was trying to cross them into the law as it's known. Would the Land Attorney General advise me how these amendments fall within Article 129(1), so that eventually we can see the court martial becoming a court? Because the ruling, Supreme Court ruling, which has been deemed as advisory and therefore motivating over these amendments, was very clear on what makes a court. And it's not merely personnel, it must also be existing within the law, and the law is Article 129. I want the Land Attorney to help me place these amendments. Because I'll give you an example, Honorable Chair and colleagues. When the ICD was being formed as a branch of the High Court, the International Criminal Court, Criminal Division of the High Court, clearly the parameters that formed it were clearly under Article 129 and was deemed the High Court. The amendment so provided by the Land Attorney General and the Minister, for me, still contradict what the Supreme Court actually guided about. And at no one time did I envisage the ruling as advising the military or the minister to go and try to be creative and even try to strip civilians of their status and bring them in under the ambit of the military to suit that ruling. It never was the objective, because you need to understand, Honorable Chair, the ruling of the Supreme Court is almost enacted law. It never at any time empower government to go and strip civilians of their status for the sake of conveniently trying them in the military courts. That was not the objective. The objective was to strengthen Article 28, which talks about a fair hearing. That's why throughout the thread of this ruling, there is reference to Article 28, 1, I think, D, and Article 44C. None of these amendments, and I'm here to wait to be convinced, speaks about that when you have these amendments, therefore you'll have a fair hearing. Therefore you'll have a speedy trial. You'll have, fair representation. Honorable Chair, I want to be convinced that these amendments actually speak to the command of Article 28 and 44C. Otherwise, taking them on face value would mean that the Updf Act is now the supreme law of the land and the Constitution is subordinate to the Updf Act. Honorable Chair, the exceptional circumstances and whereas the ruling spoke about the fact that all these cases referred to as exceptional circumstances can be tried in civilian courts, and indeed they can be tried in the civilian courts, I have not seen these amendments speak to the fact that the civilian courts are inadequate in trying these matters, and therefore their warranty being taken to the court martial. These amendments are not stripping over that fact and are not introducing anything new to warranty exceptional circumstances. Right, Honorable Chair, the lawyer in you, the advocate in you knows so well that murder, cat rustling, and all these cases can be ably tried in High Court and the entire apparent system of the courts of record. So where is this coming from? Isn't the minister trying to impute ill motive on the part of the Supreme Court in using their ruling to say they were given room to override the Constitution in bringing these amendments? Because I have been carefully trying to see where is the gap, where is that lacuna they're trying to cure. I cannot trace it. So, Honorable Chair, for me, I am not sentimental, I'm not emotional. I am tracing for what the Constitution says, and where the Constitution commands, I am obliged to obey. I am failing, and I'm failing to see a single clause that makes the court martial a court throughout these proposals. Not improving the personnel to say, as long as the personnel is, the chairperson is an advocate of the High Court, that cannot turn it into a court. Otherwise, I'll sit here and turn you into a court because you're an advocate, so am I, so several others, with Mr. Chuanaka, yourself, Senior Abdul Katuntu, and you say, as long as Katuntu has served for 25 years, yours is now a justice of the Court of Appeal, will become part of, so it's not a question of qualification.